headlines this hour. President Dr. Mohammad Moizu commences a 4-day official tour of Ba Atoll, signaling a renewed emphasis on direct engagement with local communities and decentralized governance. The naval ship donated to the Maldives by the Turkish government to enhance the security of Maldivian waters arrives in the Maldives. The British High Commission in Male donates first aid training equipment to Maldives Airport Company Limited to strengthen its emergency response capabilities. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Minha Maroof. President Dr. Mohammad Moizu commences a 4-day official tour of Ba Atoll, signaling a renewed emphasis on direct engagement with local communities and decentralized governance. The visit is part of a broader national initiative to strengthen dialogue between the government and regional constituencies. The president's itinerary includes 13 inhabited islands: Kamadu, Kurarikilu, Kendu, Edafushi, Toladu, Goidu, Fehendu, Furadu, Hitadu, Kihadu, Donfano, Daravandu, and Malos. The president's office said in a statement, each stop is structured to facilitate consultations with local councils and women's development committees, as well as informal meetings with residents. The statement outlined the objectives of the visit, noting that discussions will focus on identifying the specific developmental needs of each island and addressing the priorities most valued by their populations. Alongside institutional consultations, President Moizu is expected to meet directly with members of the residential communities to assess their current circumstances and overall well-being. The tour follows a series of similar visits to other regions as part of the president's ongoing effort to conduct systematic consultations across all atolls. By institutionalizing regular dialogue with councils in islands and cities throughout the country, the government aims to reinforce its commitment to participatory development and responsive governance. Accompanying the president are several cabinet ministers and senior officials from various government institutions. The naval ship donated to the Maldives by the Turkish government to enhance the security of Maldivian waters arrives in the Maldives. The Ministry of Defense in April this year announced the Turkish government's decision to donate a Dogan-class naval ship to the Maldives to support maritime security operations in Maldivian waters. The Maldives National Defense Force said preparations are underway between the two countries to formally hand over the naval ship to the MNDF and hold a commissioning ceremony to induct it into the MNDF fleet. Ministry of Defense said the donation of the naval ship is the direct result of President and the Commander-in-Chief of MNDF, Mohammad Moizu's efforts to strengthen relations with friendly nations and advance his goal of doubling the National Coast Guard's capacity. The introduction of this vessel into the service will significantly help the Maldives to fulfill its role as a responsible member of the international community in ensuring the security and safety of the Maldivian waters, as well as the wider Indian Ocean region. The ministry described the acquisition as an important step forward in ensuring that the members of the Defense Force are capable of competent in this capacity. In line with the goal set out by the President, President Moizu has prioritized the protection of the Maldives' freedom, sovereignty and independence of the Maldives since taking office. From the first day he took office, he began implementing policies to uphold these principles. Shortly after taking office, he inaugurated the MNDF Air Corps and introduced unmanned aerial vehicles. The Air Corps of the National Defense Force has also brought into service Turkish-made Bayraktar model unmanned combat aerial vehicles. The British High Commission in Male donates first aid training equipment to Maldives Airport Company Limited to strengthen its emergency response capabilities. Acting British High Commissioner to the Maldives, Muhammad Tawfiq Wahab, formally handed over the first aid training equipment to MACL's Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director Ibrahim Sharif Muhammad. CEO Sharif, speaking at the handover ceremony, thanked the British High Commission for the close partnership and acknowledged their continued support. He noted, as the operator of the main gateway to the Maldives, MACL has established strict protocols to respond effectively in emergency situations, adding that ensuring the MACL staff are well trained and prepared remains a top priority. He said the British High Commission's donation directly supports that mission. Acting British High Commissioner to the Maldives said the donation demonstrates the British High Commission's commitment to working with the Maldivian partners to enhance public safety and emergency response capabilities. He said by supporting MACL with this vital first aid training equipment, the High Commission is helping to ensure that the frontline staff have the tools they need to save lives in emergency situations. According to the British High Commission, the donation is part of the UK government's broader protective security and attack response program being delivered across the Maldives, which aims to improve emergency preparedness and response capabilities throughout the country. The equipment will enable MACL's frontline staff to deliver critical first aid, strengthening the protection of both the 125,000 British tourists who visit the Maldives annually and the wider public. The equipment donation is the latest development in the UK-Maldives security partnership, which has included joint emergency response exercises such as Aman Aseri held in May 2025 and ongoing collaboration across various security sectors. This initiative supports wider foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office goals on security in the Indo-Pacific region, as discussed during the second UK-Maldives Strategic Dialogue held in Male in May 2025, where both countries reiterated their shared commitment to maintaining regional security and countering potential threats. The Ministry of Tourism and Environment announces that water systems have been installed in 133 islands and sewerage systems in 146 islands, out of 187 inhabited islands in the Maldives. The ministry provided the update while addressing the Environment and Climate Change Committee of Parliament, which is reviewing the Water and Sewerage Act Amendment Bill. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, Ajwad Mustafa, speaking to the committee, said that water systems are currently being installed in 56 islands, while sewerage systems are being installed in 43 islands. According to Ajwad, the installation of water system has been completed so far in 133 islands and sewerage works in 146 islands. He assured that the projects in the remaining islands will be completed before 2027, the deadline proposed in the amendment bill. Speaking to the committee, Fenaka Corporation Limited's Deputy Managing Director, Muhammad Arif, said the company is currently upgrading the water and sewerage systems in 98 islands. He said the service establishment works will be completed by 2027 as aimed, and the upgrading works are expected to reach completion by 2028. The proposed amendment to the Water and Sewerage Act mandates that every inhabited island in the Maldives must have an adequate water and sewerage system by 2027 at the latest. The Road Development Corporation Limited is awarded the contract to develop roads in Philadu Ha Alif Atoll. The agreement was signed by the Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure's State Minister Hassan Rashid at a ceremony. RDC's Managing Director Ibrahim Nazim signed the agreement on behalf of the corporation. The Ministry of Construction said the work, valued at $5 million, is scheduled to be completed within 730 days. The government continues to hand over road construction work in islands across the Maldives. The RDC has recently been awarded the contract for the construction for Phase 3 of road development in Kurudu Fushi City and for projects in 11 islands across 7 atolls. President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu makes the first official visit to Kamadu by a sitting head of state in decades, pledging to address entrenched development gaps and fast-track infrastructure projects long sought by residents. The visit, widely regarded as historic, signaled a renewed governmental commitment to integrating Kamadu into national development frameworks and responding to long-standing local concerns. The president stated, speaking before a large gathering, that Kamadu's marginalization within Ba Atoll's development agenda would be rectified. He committed to eliminating discriminatory practices and accelerating community-requested initiatives. Among the undertakings announced was the signing of an agreement for the construction of a new school building intended to resolve space constraints and improve educational facilities. Connectivity enhancements were also prioritized. According to President Muizzu, an agreement signed with Hawks Hotels will facilitate the introduction of seaplane services to Kamadu, a development anticipated to enhance the island's connectivity and stimulate economic growth. Healthcare infrastructure featured prominently in the president's address, with plans to expand the Kamadu Health Center and upgrade its operations to a 16-hour service scheduled for contractor award by September. He added mobilization is anticipated within 2 months, with constructions scheduled to begin before the end of the year. Development efforts will extend beyond immediate infrastructure, with President Muizzu announcing that a new mosque for Kamadu will be incorporated into next year's national budget. Additionally, a nearby uninhabited island will be designed as a picnic site to support local tourism and leisure activities. The Kamadu Council formally expressed its appreciation for the visit and the commitments made, noting the significance of the occasion for the island's future. Prior to his public remarks, President Muizzu convened a meeting with the Kamadu Island Council, the Women's Development Committee (WDC), and heads of local institutions at the Kamadu Preschool. This session provided a platform for community leaders to present a detailed overview of the island's most pertinent needs. Among the issues raised were the worsening effects of coastal erosion, overcrowding at Kamadu School, and the urgent requirement for a new educational facility. The absence of a football field and spatial limitations within the council building were also highlighted. A significant step towards financial inclusion was marked with the inauguration of Bank of Maldives BML ATM services in Kamadu. The new self-service ATM offers 24-hour access for cash withdrawals, deposits, credit card payments, and loan transactions. President Muizzu's arrival in Kamadu marked the first stop in his tour of inhabited islands within Ba Atoll. He was welcomed at the harbour by members of the Kamadu Council, the Women's Development Committee, and a large number of residents. The Bank of Maldives, in strategic collaboration with the Ministry of Homeland Security and Technology's National Centre for Information Technology and MasterCard, announces the launch of the Maldives Digital Partnership Programme, a landmark initiative aimed at accelerating the nation's digital transformation. This 5-year strategic program is designed to support the government's vision of a digitally empowered Maldives by modernizing the country's digital infrastructure and expanding access to secure, efficient digital services. Key objectives of the program include modernizing digital identity and payment systems to enhance accessibility and security, strengthening cybersecurity through AI-driven solutions, expanding the digital payments ecosystem by digitizing government services and other critical sectors, introducing advanced payment systems for public transportation, improving convenience and efficiency, and leveraging data analytics to generate actionable insights for the tourism industry and other economic drivers. BML said this collaboration marks a significant step forward in building a resilient, inclusive, and future-ready digital economy for the Maldives. BML's Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director Mohammad Sharif said the bank was incredibly proud to collaborate with MasterCard and NCIT on this transformative journey for the Maldives. Minister of State for Homeland Security and Technology and the head of National Center for Information Technology NCIT, Dr. Muhammad Kinanat, noted the Maldives is currently undergoing a momentous digital transformation journey through Maldives 2.0, spearheaded by President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu's vision to leverage technology for economic growth, transparency, better governance, and enhanced citizen services. Sandung Hapugoda, MasterCard's country manager for Sri Lanka and Maldives, said MasterCard recognizes the transformative power and economic potential of digital innovation. He said through the Maldives Digital Partnership Program, MasterCard is proud to support the nation's journey towards a digitally empowered future by leveraging data and technology to deliver meaningful outcomes for the people and accelerate the growth of the digital economy. The National Tax Agency, Maldives Inland Revenue Authority, honors the country's top taxpayers of the past 15 years with the prestigious Ranfanara Awards. The awards were presented at a special ceremony held on the occasion of MIRA's 15th anniversary, with the chief guest of the ceremony, Minister of Finance and Planning, Musa Zamir, presenting the awards to recipients. 115 award recipients: Bank of Maldives BML, Diragu, INT Management, Itafushi Investment, Casa Holdings, Kuredu Holdings, Maldives Airports Company MACL, Uridu Maldives, Qatar Airways, Rithira Resort, State Bank of India, State Trading Organization STO, Trans Maldivian Airways TMA, Universal Enterprises, and Villa Shipping and Trading, according to MIRA. These companies recorded the highest tax payments from 1st January 2011 to 30th June 2025. The criteria and procedures to be followed in the awarding of the Ranfanara Awards were earlier published by MIRA. The authority did not disclose the specific amount of tax money paid by these companies. In addition to recognizing top taxpayers, special awards were also presented to the employees who have served the agency for 10 years and 15 years. The Staff of the Year award was also presented to the most outstanding employee of the past year. The Maldives Inland Revenue Authority, MIRA, reports a significant increase in state revenue for July, with total collections reaching $219.85 million. The figure represents a 15.4% rise compared with the same period last year and exceeded government projections by 12.8%, buoyed by strong income tax receipts and a rebound in tourism. The latest revenue total from MIRA surpassed the $190.17 million collected in July 2024, according to official data. Authorities attributed the growth to higher corporate tax payments and increased tourist arrivals, which lifted returns from several levies tied to the sector. Income tax accounted for nearly half of the monthly review, contributing $103.77 million. Of that amount, $67.49 million was collected from companies and other non-individual entities, while $28.58 million came from taxes on banking sector profits. Both corporate and commercial bank profit taxes are administered under the Income Tax Act, which took effect in 2020. Foreign currency inflows also strengthened, according to MIRA, with dollar-denominated revenue rising to $105.85 million, up from $75.7 million a year earlier. The increase was closely linked to the tourism sector's continued recovery, which drove higher receipts from the tourism goods and services tax, green tax, and airport fees. A notable rise in airport fee revenue followed the implementation of revised fee rates in December 2024, further contributing to the overall uptick. Corporate tax receipts improved year-on-year, reinforcing the broader fiscal gains. Officials said the stronger-than-expected revenue reflected gains across key sectors and higher payments from corporate entities. In addition, 7.4% of July's revenue was recovered from previously uncollected amounts, indicating progress in enforcement and recovery efforts. Tax revenue totaled $196.56 million for the month, compared with $162.14 million in July last year. Non-tax revenue rose modestly to $23.5 million, up from $22.46 million. China wants the United States to ease export controls on chips critical for artificial intelligence as part of a trade deal before a possible summit between Presidents Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. Chinese officials have told experts in Washington that Beijing wants the Trump administration to relax export restrictions on high-bandwidth memory (HBM) chips, citing unnamed people familiar with the matter. The White House, State Department, and China's Foreign Ministry did not immediately respond to requests for comment on the report. HBM chips, which help perform data-intensive AI tasks quickly, are closely watched by investors due to their use alongside AI graphic processors, particularly NVIDIA's. The Financial Times said China is concerned because the U.S. HBM controls hamper the ability of Chinese companies such as Huawei to develop their own AI chips. Successive U.S. administrations have curbed exports of advanced chips to China, looking to stymie Beijing's AI and defense development. While this has impacted U.S. firms' ability to fully address booming demand from China, one of the world's largest semiconductor markets, it still remains an important revenue driver for American chipmakers. Trucks carrying aid and fuel bound for Gaza made their way from Egypt's Rafah.
On August 6th, Amal Imam, the executive director of the Egyptian Red Crescent, said that trucks carrying about 14,500 tons of aid in total had entered Gaza from Egypt since Israel agreed on July 27th to allow more aid to reach the population. Imam said 800 out of the nearly 1,000 trucks that crossed the border arrived at destination in Gaza so far. She added that some trucks have faced obstacles getting approval due to restrictions placed on certain products by Israel. Palestinian and UN officials say Gaza needs around 608 trucks to enter per day to meet the humanitarian requirements the number of Israel used to allow in Gaza before the war. Hamas said it was prepared to coordinate with the Red Cross to deliver aid to hostages it holds in Gaza if Israel permanently opens humanitarian corridors and halts airstrikes during the distribution of aid.
FA Cup winners Crystal Palace beats Premier League champions Liverpool 3-2 on penalties to win the Community Shield after an entertaining 2-2 draw at Wembley. Substitute Justin Devaney scored the winning spot kick to give Palace the spoils after Mohamed Salah, Alexis Mac Allister and Harvey Elliott missed for the Reds. New recruit Hugo Ekitike had put Liverpool ahead inside 4 minutes before Jean-Philippe Mateta levelled from the penalty spot in the 17th for Palace after Virgil van Dijk brought down Ismail Assar.
I think after the 90 minutes it was a game where both teams were more or less on the same level, and this makes us proud against Liverpool, against the champion of the Premier League.
Close season signing Jeremy Frimpong restored the Reds' lead as Liverpool fans marked the death of Portugal forward with Diogo Jota with 20 minutes on the clock, sending an attempted cross-looping in off the post. But Palace equalised again with 13 minutes to play, Sarr slotting past on-rushing goalkeeper Alisson to send the traditional season curtain raiser to penalties. And that's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant day ahead.